Welcome to another edition of That Was Then, This Is Now. I'm your host, Professor Greg Cole from Southwestern College in Winfield, Kansas. This is a program where we have conversation with leaders from around the country discussing topics that are relevant in the workplace. And today's topic is ethics. Joining me today in the discussion is my special guest who took time out of his busy schedule to share his thoughts on the subject. I would like for him to introduce himself and tell us what his leadership role is in the community and anything else that he would like to share with us.
Good morning. I'm Tom Stolz. I'm the county manager for Sedgwick County. I've been in this position for about 4 months, but I've been in government work my whole life. I was with the Wichita Police Department for 31 years and came to the county in 2012 to do a merger project between building and construction departments, and have been moved around in the system, and now I'm the county manager.
Wow, what a great introduction. And Manager Stolz, I'll get right into the questions.
Sure.
Can you define business or government ethics?
Okay, ethics is a leadership value which any organization, any government organization, any private organization aspires to attain. It is a way of doing business which is defined as the right way. It involves other values of honesty and integrity and the right way of doing business day in, day out. And any good business, any good government entity aspires to have ethics in its culture.
Absolutely. So what does ethical behavior look like, say, in the government arena?
Ethical behavior in a government environment is doing the right thing every time. And there's things you can do at a personal level and things you can do at an organizational to promote and foster ethics. From a personal level, it is just leading by example and everything, and it sounds so basic, but being honest with employees, being honest with the public, being transparent to the public in everything you do regarding operations and the expenditure of county dollars and tax dollars. So within the organization, you have to develop policy and procedure and train employees that ethics becomes part of the autopilot of the organization. You wake up every morning, you work through the day, you do the right thing all day long.
So then whose responsibility is it?
It's everybody's responsibility. It's top down. It's everything from the manager down to workers, and it's the people's responsibility. It's the public's responsibility to demand this, to be vigilant, to be aware. So as a manager, I spend a good part of my day, and I'll tell you how I start my day. When I drive into work, while I'm driving here, about a 20-minute commute, I'm thinking about everything I'm going to do today. I know what my calendar looks like, how I'm going to treat people fairly, how I'm going to be tolerant and patient, how I'm going to be flexible and accessible to people. And that when I go home at night, I review that with myself to make sure that I pass the score that day. So from a personal level, that's what I think of when I drive in. Organizationally, every decision we make, every conversation we have, every meeting we go to, there's good policy there that steers us toward an ethical way of doing business, and we foster that. We talk about it as a work group, and then of course in government you work to an elected body, and you have the same conversations with them about transparency and ethics and honesty and integrity, and that's how you live your life.
So what would you say your best quality, your ethical quality is?
Well, I always answer questions like that with a two-pronged response. Ethics and honesty and those types of values are learned. If you're lucky, you were instilled those qualities by your parents or by the significant people in your life, an uncle, an aunt, a grandparent, a teacher. If you're lucky, you grew up like that. If you didn't, you have to develop those and work on those. So there's a personal set of values that we all come to the table with that was taught to us by people in our lives who are important, usually parents or family. So I think about it from a personal level, and then I look at it from our organizational level. We have almost 3,000 employees in the county. And everything that we do in this county, I feel responsible for. How our employees react to people. And so the best thing I can do as a leader is to help instill those values through good policy, good practice, and how I act. I mean, I can't expect people to act ethically if I'm not ethical. So that's a burden for anyone in leadership or management. You have to be almost perfect every day in regard to those types of values. Now, we're going to make mistakes as human beings, but regarding the core values of ethics and honesty and integrity, you can't make any mistakes. You have to be perfect. So that's how I try to foster it and develop it with those around me, and I hope that my managers do the same thing. I hope that my employees do the same thing, and I hope that the public that we serve in Sedgwick County does the same thing. That's how we act and treat each other, because it's the golden rule.
And so with over 3,000 employees, subjects like elections, gay marriage, racism, diversity and inclusion, are those difficult subjects to discuss in the workplace, and how do we deal with those?
It's difficult, not only in the workplace, this is difficult with our public right now, but you have to have those discussions, and you have to be comfortable in those discussions, and you have to be safe in those discussions to have, particularly within the work. We discuss them all the time. And that's part of good policy, is how do we, because we aspire to that. When you talk to any business or government leader, they're going to tell you, well, we want inclusion, we want diversity. Then how do you get there? How do you get past words and language and get into practice? So we talk about it a lot. And if you do it enough and you do it in a respectful, professional way, it's easy to talk about because it's happening in the world. It's not just focused in Sedgwick County or within this government. It's a citywide issue, it's a statewide issue, and right now in our country, it is a national issue talked about frequently. So we need to discuss them, we need to have mature professional dialogue and not beat each other up and not exclude people, and have a mature conversation on how we can get along better and do business better together. And I've worked in all kinds of environments, and I will tell you that when you have an environment which is diverse and inclusive, it is powerful. It is powerful to give better service. You're hearing all kinds of attitudes and opinions, and that's valuable. And every time I've ever worked in it, it makes you stronger as an organization, stronger as a section, and stronger as a community. And if you look at the inverse of that, and you look around the world at areas or governments or countries which breed intolerance, they are at war, they are at strife, their people are struggling to eat. There's a right way to do business and a wrong way to do business. And diversity and inclusion, we all know, is the right way to do business. The trick is policing it and leading by example and instilling that as a culture in your organization so that people respect it. And that is the trick of leadership, ethic, and leadership.
I want to thank my special guest,
You're very welcome.
Sedgwick County Manager Thomas Stolz. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of That Was Then, This Is Now. We'll see you soon.